In this week's brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters in Project Cars 2, we're taking a DTM legend for a spin as the Mercedes-Benz 190 Evo takes on our Azure Coast hill climb course. But with nearly 350 brake horsepower at our disposal, can this iconic Taurus bring a surprise or two? Let's go find out. What's going on, guys? My name is Messinio and welcome back to Project Cars 2 and a brand new episode of Hill Climb Monsters. And this week's challenger, as you can see on screen, is the 1991 Mercedes-Benz 190 Evo, or to be more accurate, it's the Mercedes-Benz 190e 2.5-16 Evolution 2 DTM. So I think we'll just stick with the 190 Evo. Yeah, we'll stick with that name. So yeah, a bit of a mouthful. That's what she said. Yeah, and the reason I decided to go for this car for this week is because we haven't done a Group A touring car since the very first episode of Hill Climb Monsters all the way back in late October, early November of 2017. So, not too far off when the game was released. So yeah, it'll be an interesting comparison. The Audi V8 DTM is my favourite Group A touring car, and I feel it's the faster car. So it'll be interesting to see in what is perceived to be a slower car and a more difficult car to drive, if I've improved. This would be a nice little benchmark for me personally, just to see if I've improved on this course and as a driver as a whole. So yeah, that's the reason we're doing this car for this week. So let's jump into it. We'll start by taking a look at some of the stats. And yeah, so as I said, quite a long name there. Produced in 1991, as I said. It falls into the Group A touring car category. It is rear-wheel drive. It's got a 5-speed H-pattern shifter bolted to a straight 4 engine. Now, there is a little error there. Now, I'm not sure if the real car has a 5-speed or a 6-speed, but in the game, when you're driving it, it does have a 6th gear. So I don't know whether that's incorrect information on this screen or they've snuck a 6th gear in there somewhere. So yeah, you let me know in the comments, guys. I've looked around, I can't find it. I had a brief look, but let me know in the comments if you know whether this thing has 5 or 6 gears. But when you're driving it, it does have 6 gears. It is producing 340 brake horsepower, which is good enough to push this thing to 187 miles an hour and from 0 to 60 in 5.19 seconds, which is pretty impressive considering this is basically just a glorified Repmobile. 190E. The 190E was very, very popular as a sort of an executive car. They go from very important business meeting to other important business meetings. But this one has been tuned and played with, and it looks very good and very, very angry and so on and so forth. So the weight is coming in at not far off £2,200. Control difficulty is 3, cornering speed is 2, and it does feature ABS, but no traction or stability control in there as well. So yeah, in terms of practice and setup, the big thing with this car is it's a little bit oversteery, especially on a corner exit. Now, with the Audi V8 DTM, as I said, the reason I like that car so much is it's very, very stable, and that comes down to the fact that it had all-wheel drive, basically. This one is just driven at the rear wheels, as we know. So yeah, all the things a little bit unstable on the braking, especially heavy braking as well. Wasn't great over the bumps. There'd be times where it would just be a little bit skittish and so on and so forth. And you'd also get occasions through some of the more medium to fast speed corners where you have a little bit of understeer as well. So worked on the suspension, softened it up a little bit at the rear. A tad at the front as well. Played around with the differential as well, just to try and give it more of like a smoother power delivery to help with those oversteery, squirmy moments on corner exit and so on and so forth. And the other thing is, I was originally running 2 and 4 on the front and rear downforce, but I dropped the back down. Now normally when you're getting a bit of stability in the rear, you'd up the downforce, but I actually I raised the ride height a little bit and just dropped the downforce to 3. So that seemed to help. It seemed to settle the car down a lot more. I did have a couple of setups for this. I had Cadwell Park and Snetterton. And I went with the Cadwell Park one first of all because it sort of has the same sort of, abrupt elevation changes. It's a very, you've got some very, very abrupt elevation changes around Cadwell Park. But it wasn't working. So I switched to the Snetterton one, which is basically just a relatively flat circuit. And it worked a treat, and it was a good starting point. So I went from there and did the setup work. as you would imagine, as there is every week in this series, there were a few accidents. I had a fairly big one, once again at our favourite place, the Magic Roundabout. Heading down there. This was actually my first practice run, actually, and this is, you know, part of the exploration, just finding how much curb I can take, and I just took maybe a little bit too much, and yeah, that ended badly. And then, of course, we have physics. It just decides to roll itself back over onto its wheels there, but that was pretty much the run toasted and cooked there. So yeah, fun car to drive nonetheless, despite the accidents. Yeah, so let's take a look at some of the leaderboards now, and we'll start off with the main leaderboard within the game for the touring car category. And as we can see, our best time is currently has us sitting in second place with a 6:32.209. Just so close to that top time. I'm gonna get it. It's gonna happen. I've got to figure out where I'm losing time in the first sector, but I'm gonna get it. So yeah, we're not going to get anywhere close to that time in the 190 Evo, I don't think. To find the fastest Group A time, though, you have to go all the way down to page number 4 and position number 34. Someone called SS-AR910 in the Nissan Skyline GTR R32, 7:52.452. Now, normally I'd be saying that that's one of our targets to beat, but we've kind of already beaten it. The first episode of Hill Climb Monsters, as you can see on this screen here, the Audi V8 DTM, we did a 7:35.566, which would actually, looking back at this one, it will put us on page number 3. So the Audi V8 DTM is the target time for this car. There's nothing else that I don't think it can feasibly go up against. You could probably say the Opel Astra TCR. It is a touring car, but it's obviously very, very far removed from the Audi V8 DTM and so on and so forth. But yeah, so the Audi V8 DTM is the target time, 7:35.566, and that is the one we're going to be looking to beat today. And like I said, also, if we can maybe go faster than the Audi V8 DTM in a car that is a bit more difficult to drive and maybe a little bit slower, then maybe it shows that I've improved as a driver over the last year or so. Who knows? But yeah, so that's the build up to the episode. Let's get into the fun stuff now, though, because we are going to head down to the track and we are going to see how the Mercedes-Benz 190 Evo got on its best run. Here we go then, guys. Mercedes-Benz 190 Evo on our Azure Coast hill climb course. And as we power down to this first corner, booty curve, a long right-hander. Red on it a little bit in fourth. I did try and take it in fifth, but it maybe just you just carry a bit too much speed through there. You'd end up in the central reservation, which pretty much wrecks the run before it gets started. But through the center S's, very, very good there. And now we're coming down towards Cruise Liner corner. And I don't get the entry exactly right here. Take it way too narrow, which forces a little bit wide there. And, you know, we're not taking enough speed through there, but through Trash Can corner, pretty good. Little bit of oversteer on the exit. No big dramas, though. And off we go again, down the hill towards the Magic Roundabout. Everybody's favourite hair-raising moment. Up to nearly 130 mile an hour. Dip it down to 115 over the bump. A little bit of a squirm at the rear, but we make it through just fine. This thing is absolutely brilliant, and just harkens back to those days where DTM cars would be going 2 wheels or 4 wheels off the ground with regular occurrence. Absolutely golden age of touring cars was that the early to mid 90s. But enough reminiscing. Now we're onto the happy highway, and a chance to just take a little bit of a breather after a very, very involved and very busy early part of the run. And we're going to perform a magic trick now because there's 6th gear. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the mistake is, whether it's in the information or whether this car didn't have 6 gears, but if you know, let me know in the comments down below, guys. Always happy to hear from you. But on to traffic cone corner now. Little lift, get the nose in nice and early for this one. It will hold, and off we go again, down towards what will be Stonewall corner, over this crest here. Get it down into 5th gear. Try and run it as close as you can to that apex, and through we go. And I did have a few issues through here with it running wide. Again, you just sort of occasional oversteer. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it didn't. But as soon as you get wide through Stonewall corner, you get on the grass, it'll just drag the whole car out there, and that's pretty much the end of it. But through here, maybe you could have taken a little bit more speed, but that corner tends to catch out cars that have a little bit of oversteer, which this thing definitely still does, despite my best efforts in setup. And through here, again, you're getting mixes of oversteer and understeer as well, so you're having to be very, very careful through there. We make it through just fine this time, and again, just feathering the throttle just a little bit to make sure we get through here onto Cobra Pass now. And probably could have come down for third for this one. Didn't quite get it where I want it, but again, through there we got into second, clipped the curb a little bit, which sent us I don't know, about a foot wider than we would have liked, but into the slowest corner on the course now. James May corner, named after Captain Slow of Top Gear and Grand Tour fame. And we're going to come through there pretty okay, not too bad through there. And then through onto this this left-hander to finish sector 1. A little bit of oversteer, but sometimes it's advantageous. That little bit of oversteer it has can sometimes be to your advantage. Helps you get it through corners on occasion, but you don't want to let it get out of check and out of hand, of course, like I did a couple of times through here. Silver Spoon Village, I had a few moments where I was pointing into the walls and looking at the inner grounds of people's stately homes and so on. But on to Outrun now. And yeah, pretty good through here. Run it as wide as you dare on the left hand side there, but coming through this dip we're going to have a little bit of a moment. You see, just get a little bit out of shape, having to work on the wheel and saw at it just a little bit just to get this thing back under control. And maybe you could have come down to fourth for that when you saw on the initial getaway out of Fraggle Rock corner, just labouring just a little bit. But we again push on towards Bridge corner now, and I don't get this right at all. Maybe brake a little bit too late, nowhere near the apex, just having to sort of rein it in and just be very, very patient just to get it through there and make sure we don't clip those bollards on the outside of the exit, because they will wreck the front end of any car. But through here onto the entrance of the Monga McRae Hill Complex. This area will separate the men from the boys when it comes to drivers over these crests and these tricky partially cambered corners. Gentle through there in second, maybe could have done it in first. It might have been a little bit easier just to get the cars through, and but we've done it now, we're through it, and on we go again. We're going to get it up to fifth gear for this one, and then get it under control for the braking. We're going to try our best. We don't get it exactly at the apex, which again was annoying. Maybe could have braked a little bit earlier. We're going to take a little bit of grass there, and then maybe just a tad on that side as well as we move on to the Camel Straight, going over the first hump. No bother, very, very close to invalidating the run there, but over the second one, going nose down a little bit, and again, it just gets a little bit out of shape there. Coming through the Mirage corner though, having to be very, very gentle with it. Into third for this one. Maybe could have taken a bit more speed through there, but again, it's just a little bit squirmy on the exit there, so I'm glad I just, you know, I didn't go full hog and try and put a bit more speed through there, because it probably would have ended up in the wall. But onto the Pogo Stick Straight, seeing this thing get some more air, get it down again into third gear, get that grass on the inside, just help pull the car through, and off we go again, and up into this very, very tricky uphill right-hander. You're going to see we're going to run it very, very wide, very close to that wall on the outside of the exit, but we just about survive. And on we go now onto the Great Ocean Highway, through the tunnel, and it is very, very fast right left-hand up. Probably could have taken a bit more speed through there. Again, I was a little bit wary. As soon as you get over the bumps, that oversteer kicks in through there, it's game over pretty much. But again, we push on. That's the end of sector number 2 now, and on to the final sector. And I've got to say, up to this point, I've really been enjoying driving this car. Tricky in certain sections, but really, really good for the most part. And through the tunnel now, and onto the Viaduct Straight. Again, pretty good. And as we come down towards what will be Deception, again, just sliding just a little bit, having to just be a little bit wary through there, because this thing does like to slide over some of those undulating corners. Again, don't take as much speed through that corner as I would have liked, but through Deception, going to get it near as makes no difference. Perfect through there. Maybe could have taken a smidgen more speed potentially. But on we go again, on to Sweeps now, and it was absolutely superb through here. Every car seems to excel through here, but this one, as I said, right setup, steering at the front, driving at the rear, brilliant way to take this this section. But maybe do take that a little bit too narrow, which causes the run wide, and then it just causes to close up this corner a little bit, which probably cost us a bit of time, maybe half a second, maybe up to a second potentially, but we make it through. And now we're coming on to Rocky Road now. Again, just being very, very gentle. I did ruin a couple of runs down into this right-hander by taking a little bit too much speed through here. Got on the wall on the outside, which is why we run it maybe a little bit narrow through there and don't take as much speed as we potentially could have. But we're okay now, and we move on through the tunnel and then through this little rock tunnel here. Again, very, very good through here. Again, it does have a little bit of understeer occasionally, and normally cars with understeer get caught out through that bend, but this one was absolutely fine. But through the final corner and the final tunnel, down towards the line, it's going to be a time of 7 minutes 30.360. So a very, very respectable time, and we've done what we needed to do. We've beaten the Audi, and we've not just beaten it, I think we've hammered it. 5.2 seconds was the time, and as you can see, it goes 22nd on our Hill Climb Monsters leaderboard. It's even beaten the Nissan Skyline from week number 2 there as well. But I was quite surprised at this time. The fact that it's, you know, I was hoping that we were going to beat it, because the Audi for me is still the faster car. And I probably will come back to it at the very end of this series just to see how much faster I can go in it now. But for this thing to beat it by 5 seconds, knowing that it's probably a more difficult car to drive, it's not as quick, it's not as stable, it is a little bit squirmy, a little bit temperamental, I think that's a very, very good time and a very, very respectable time there. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we don't get a time on the leaderboards, of course, just owing to the way that the leaderboards work. But if we had have got a time on the leaderboard, it would have been in 28th position, so page number 3. So, like I said, fairly respectable time, and puts us quite a long way ahead of the nearest car that is actually on the leaderboards, that 152 by that R32 Nissan Skyline that we saw earlier in the video. But yeah, like I said, there we go, guys. Really good car to drive, really fun, bit tricky on occasions. You can see it just maybe it's a little bit squirmy at the rear, and it's maybe so that if you're better at setting suspension up than I am, which I think most people are, then you may be able to dial that out. But again, sometimes it is to your advantage to have just that little bit of oversteer just to help you through some corners. But overall, very, very good car to drive, very fun, very enjoyable, and well, it's a legendary car, let's face it. Cars like this, the BMW M3, the V8 DTM Audi, just absolutely golden age of touring car racing, in my opinion, as I've said. But there we go then, guys. So Mercedes-Benz 190 Evo goes 22nd on our Hill Climb Monsters leaderboard, with a very respectable 7 minutes 30.360. But yeah, that's the end of today's video, guys. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, you would like to see more Project Cars 2 or just general racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. The next Hill Climb Monsters episode, normally they come out on Tuesday, but next Tuesday is Christmas Day, and I'm not doing anything on Christmas Day or Boxing Day. So next episode will be a Christmas themed episode, and it'll be out on the Monday. So if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and do that. Ring the bell so you get a notification when that video goes live. But yeah, like I said, guys, thank you everybody so much for watching. Stay cool, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. Peace!